This problem is related to the electrical voltage supply to the propane solenoid lock-off valve. Use a multimeter to measure the DC voltage across the two wires supplying voltage to the lock-off. Proper function is that the lock-off will be supplied with 12 volts during start and continue to receive 12 volts after the engine starts and key is returned to run, as seen here. Improper function is that the lock-off will receive voltage during start, but as soon as the key is returned to run after engine start, the voltage falls to 0, causing the lock-off to immediately close, which shuts down the engine, as seen here. The following steps in this video will troubleshoot the root cause of this issue. Insert the dry dipstick fully into the engine, and visually check oil level and add oil if needed. According to this diagram, the oil pressure switch is in the circuit that provides electrical flow to the lock-off with the key in the run position. To bypass the oil pressure switch, unplug the two brown wires and connect them to each other using a jumper wire. If bypassing the oil pressure switch resolved the issue, then you may have a faulty oil pressure switch and it should be replaced. If a second oil pressure switch has the same result as the first, the issue is likely the internal oil pump and requires service at an approved service center. If bypassing the oil pressure switch did not solve the issue, then proceed with the following troubleshooting steps, but leave the oil pressure switch bypassed so we can directly check the voltage supply at lock-off with a multimeter without needing to run the engine. Use a continuity tester to ensure the fuses are functional. As seen here, the emission module provides electrical flow downstream of the lock-off with the key in the run position. Start by cutting the zip ties in the emission module wiring to check for any loose wires, disconnected connections, or severed wires. If none, bypass the emission module according to the highlighted connection shown here. To bypass, disconnect the red wire from the engine wiring harness. Disconnect the green wire that is coming from the main engine wiring harness to the emission module relay. Disconnect the black ground wire that comes from the main engine wiring harness to the emission module. To finalize the bypass, connect the green wire to the black wire. If bypassing the emission module resolves the issue, then the emission module and relay should be replaced. Uninstall the key switch assembly to check function with a multimeter. With key in off position, you should have continuity between black and yellow wires. With key in run position, you should have continuity between white and green wires. With key held in start position, you should have continuity between white and red wires. If any of the three continuity checks fail, replace the key switch. Visually check the circuit board for any failed components. Functionally check the circuit board using a multimeter and a wiring schematic. When the brown wire is energized with 12 volts relative to the engine block, the blue wire should also be energized with 12 volts relative to the engine block. Replace the circuit board if required. If none of these steps resolved the issue, then there is likely either a severed wire, disconnected wire, or failed connector in the harness. Use a multimeter to check continuity between points and to check for proper voltage at points according to the schematic to identify the issue.